You'll likely see Sweden, Denmark, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, the Netherlands, and Singapore somewhere on the lists.
The main reason why you see these countries on the list is because of the quality, population health, upfront costs, availability, and the expenditures that don't cause families to go bankrupt. I personally have been affected by American health insurance companies. I had a heart attack when I was 16 and was in a hospital for around a week. The bill came out to $40,000 for one MRI and two CT scans. In any other country, this bill would be around $5,000. Luckily, my family has employer provided private healthcare and only had to pay a fraction of the cost. The American health insurance companies are the main stakeholder at fault because they fully control pricing and are the root of the American healthcare problem.
This is one of the reasons you won't find the USA on these lists.
According to CNBC, medical bills are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. Did you know that there are up to 650,000 medically related bankruptcies every year in the United States? That's insane. That's actually insane. Healthcare expenditures in 2016 alone for America was $3.3 trillion. That's $10,348 per person and around 18% of the GDP. That's too much money. There is employer provided healthcare and there is Medicare.
It may not pay for everything, so some people still end up going bankrupt.
The American health insurance companies are the ones at fault and need to be changed and or stopped because they control prices and they determine who can and cannot have healthcare, private and public sector included. Now, the private sector is the main problem because it causes the influx in prices for the public sector, which is government owned, because of how expensive it is.
Japan and Canada, and oh, there's America. But now I want to add something you haven't seen to this chart. This is how much of that spending in each country is private and how much is public. Here's what's amazing. America's government spending on healthcare, on programs like Medicaid and Medicare and the VA, our versions of socialized medicine, it's about the same size as these other countries. These countries where the government runs the whole healthcare system. And then there's our private spending.
The private sector is the main problem with America's health insurance system because it is owned by the citizens, meaning that the citizens can corrupt the system anytime they want because they can weave through laws. It's not government owned. American citizens under an employer's health insurance have healthcare with the private sector, meaning the owner of the company or business you work for made a deal with the privately owned health insurance provider. 20% of the American population without an employee healthcare benefit have to use government-issued health insurance like Obamacare, which is overly expensive because the private sector causes an influx in expenditures.
All care is provided for by the private sector. Although some hospitals are run by the government, most are run by private organizations. About 70% of hospitals are nonprofit, leaving the rest in for-profit hands. Most physicians, therefore, also work for private organizations and are not employed by the public sector.
People who cannot afford private sector insurance and choose not to have government insurance can end up like this woman.
$1 for the cost of transplant. Then I have another EOB right after it, which was another $1 million. So you're looking at a $4 million transplant. I don't know what people do without insurance. How could you even begin to pay that?
The answer to that, Margaret, is you can't. You just go bankrupt.
The preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact upon public policy. So if you've ever felt like your opinion doesn't matter and that the government doesn't really care what you think, well, you're right. They have the power to completely block it from happening, no matter how much the rest of the country supports it. They get what they want, and guess who ends up paying for it? We pay for it with the most expensive healthcare in the world.
The entire medical system is corrupt. Start at the head of the NIH, to the deans of the medical schools, to the heads of the department. They're all out there because their department does better. If the drug company is kicking in $100 million, $200 million, and this whole UC thing down here south of Market, all drug money. So do you think that's the human potential, or is that a profit?
The health of the American citizen should not be determined by the amount of money the owners of the hospitals and insurance companies want. I'm talking to you, health insurance companies.
An inhaler.
$100.
Yeah, you're pretty close. It's a bit more.
120.
250 to 350.
For an inhaler?
Yes.
Man, so if you're poor, you're dead.
In the US, the price influx for medically related billing is 40% higher than any other country in the world. Why? because the lower middle class in America don't do anything to stop it because they have no power. Because the health insurance companies own America's entire healthcare system, there is no way out of a bill that will possibly bankrupt a family because no one can stop them. I said it once and I'll say it again. I'm talking to you, health insurance companies. You're the one at fault, no one else.